Hey guys, this is Coach Derek, co-host of the Soapboxing Podcast. Man, ever since I found this Anchor app, I tell you, podcasting has become a lot simpler and a lot easier to do. They distribute the podcast over several platforms, and you have to do no work. I tell you, man, if you're interested in doing podcasting, you need to download the Anchor app. That's ANCHOR.FM. You can get started today with the Anchor app and do whatever your heart desires.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Soapboxing Podcast, your main event of the evening.
What's up, guys? Coach here. I want to encourage you to visit itrboxing.com for all the latest in boxing news, results, and interviews. My partner, Lukey, is a boxing insider who has access to camps, fighters, and coaches. He promotes the sport on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Search ITR Boxing everywhere and get inside the ropes with my main man, Lukey. What's going on, guys? Coach Derek here. I wanted to invite y'all to check out In the Ring with Christine, a podcast hosted by cut woman, media personality, and Olympic boxing coach Christine Lopez. In the Ring with Christine can be found on YouTube, Facebook, and Pottertron Network. It includes Women Crushing It Wednesdays, an all-women's panel discussing the previous week in boxing. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share. In the Ring with Christine.
Ladies and gentlemen, this so we're excited to have you on. All right, good morning, Houston, the world. Welcome to another episode of Soapboxing Podcast. It's your boy, Manny Fresh. I want to welcome you to another episode. Unfortunately, Derek Collinsworth, a.k.a. Coach, is at a coach's meeting this morning. He will not be joining us. He might try to jump on later, Coach. Feel free. I know you have the link. We're going to try and hold it down while you're taking care of business. I'm excited about today's episode this morning. We have Termite Watkins and Jeff Barnett on the show. They're going to talk boxing. They're going to talk about, their careers, their history here in Houston, their roots. And, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you. And good morning. How are y'all doing?
Good morning. Doing pretty doggone good.
Amen.
Doing fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, Happy New Year. How's y'all's New Year starting off?
Pretty doggone good.
There you go.
I've lost the ability to sleep 4 hours a night because I met Termite Watkins. But other than that, New Year's is great.
So why don't we start with that? How did your relationship come to pass?
When I was trying to put together a package on managing Evan Holyfield, a friend of ours, I went to him, Whitney Strickland, and Whitney said, we got to bring Jeff into this. And I said, Jeff, who's Jeff? He said, you got to meet him. He said, he's a great guy, and he's got money. And so I said, sounds like a guy I need to meet. And so that's really how we met, isn't it, Jeff?
Right. And I made the fatal mistake in that deal that I didn't want to buy into a contract. I wanted to buy into a company. And that got me permanently linked to Termite Watkins. And that's why I don't get to sleep anymore. We're doing shows and putting stuff together. And I'm on the phone till 11, 12 at night. Yeah, it's just been a lot of fun.
Nice. Now, did you have any background in boxing prior to this?
My father took me to an amateur bout whenever I was probably 11, and I told him that's the most boring thing ever. I don't ever want to do that. I don't have any interest in it. And I refound boxing through this deal, and I have absolutely fallen in love with it. So it's just weird. I just never saw it for what it was until I looked at it later in life. You know, it's so much more than just sitting waiting for a knockout, you know.
There's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that people just don't realize, from the matchmaking to, I mean, it's just putting on shows, ticket sales, it's the training, the business side of it. It's how has your previous life, as far as your career, impacted or helped you with boxing?
It's given me the money you need to burn in boxing. You have to have a lot of money to be in boxing. It's like being a wine connoisseur. It starts off with investing thousands and thousands of dollars.
You know, it's funny because that seems to be a common theme with promoters and managers. I heard a promoter once say, out of Houston too. I'll give him his credit. Forrest Washington. He's a promoter over at the CEO of Next Fight Up. He once told me, you know how you have to be successful in boxing. I asked him, how's that? You got to start off with a small fortune. So that seems to be true.
I'm taking notes.
Termite. Well, I mean, you're no stranger here to boxing, of course. There's your roots are here in Houston. You're a landmark. Why don't you tell those that a little about your boxing career from your pro career to present day?
I love to talk about my career. I've been blessed that I've had a pretty awesome career. I started when I was 10 years old. First 3 or 4 times I put gloves on, I got my tail kicked, and but my dad loved me enough that he invested into me, and he got me a good trainer, a good teacher, a good coach named Kenny Weldon. And from there, I went to 65 amateur fights without losing, which is kind of unheard of today. And I ended up with an amateur career of 128 wins, 10 losses, 128 and 10. Made the USA team at 16 years old. I was the first in history to win nationals at 16 years old. Wow. And it's been done many times since then. But that year, it gave me a spot on the USA team. And, you know, I brag about this. My roommates were Sugar Ray Leonard and Howard Davis, 2 gold medalists, wow. 2 of the greatest fighters ever. And then I turned pro at 17. I ended up having 65 pro fights, had 58 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws, 48 knockouts. And so I was blessed to have had a good career.
Now, was Kenny, Coach Weldon your coach through your professional career as well?
Kenny, a portion of it, yes. You know, Kenny and my dad had some words or some difficulties, and so we split up for a period of time. A guy named Albert Bolden, Potato Pie, trained me. Great trainer, one of the greatest trainers that I could have ever had. And, you know, I had a great career with him.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, but Kenny and I have always been together. Potato Pie took over a portion of my career for a few years, and then Kenny and I got back.
Now, of course, we all know who Kenny Weldon is, and unfortunately, he went on to be with the Lord a couple years ago, like 3 years ago?
About 3 years ago, huh?
3 years ago, right? His legacy in Houston. I mean, he's you can't talk about Houston boxing without talking about Kenny Weldon. what were some of the lessons or the memories that have been lasting in your mind when you think about Kenny Weldon?
If you walk in my gym, you'll see signs that say, keep your chin down. From the time you walked in his gym, he was always reminding you, keep your chin down. And you could raise your chin when you left, but when you're in that gym, keep your chin down. You know, that really doesn't get any better than that. I mean, a boxer needs to keep his chin down. Kenny was a big cut up. He made training fun. And we try to keep, Jeff and I at Fighter Nation, we try to keep things fun. And Jeff and I have fun. Jeff doesn't realize it yet. He's just not there, but he doesn't realize it, but he's having fun.
He doesn't realize how much fun he's having. Huh? Now, Jeff, when you met Termite, were you aware of who he was as far as his boxing career and what he's accomplished, or what was your impression of Termite when you first met him?
Mainly, when I met Termite, I thought this is a guy I can take advantage of, and I'm going to take a whole bunch of stock from this guy, and I'm going to make a ton of money off of him. Boy, was I wrong. He's turned me into a full-time assistant of his.
You know, he does a good job. Everything I tell him to do, he does.
Well, now I also want to talk about here recently Termite, I want to talk about your battle with COVID. How was that experience? Now, did you get it twice, or was it or once?
Just once.
Okay.
But I was one of the ones that got it early. It's been going on 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. So I was one of the, I guess you could call the first cases.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I was the first case in Herman Memorial Northeast to survive the ventilator. I had went on the ventilator for about 18 days. And before I got off, I was in the hospital about 35 days. And I want to give a big shout out to all the people at Herman Memorial Northeast. They were wonderful. But I did survive the disease, the sickness. Many people haven't. COVID is tough, but I've got to voice my opinion on this. It is tough. But you know what? We are Americans. We have overcome so many things, and don't run scared. That's all I tell people. Don't be smart, but don't run scared. You know, it's just something else we got to overcome.
No, spoken like a true survivor. Now, you also have a movie coming out, huh? Why don't you tell us a little about that?
I'd love to. It's pretty cool. We got our script in day before yesterday, and it's pretty doggone good. I can't tell you what's in the script, but there's a lot of funny parts. It's pretty doggone cool. We're not sure what it's going to be called, but it could be called Termite, or They Call Me Termite. Maybe something else. I've got a great partner on this. His name is Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, wow, really?
And, they've been great to work with. Talked with his CEO, Braden. Braden has been great. We were talking on the phone yesterday, reading the script, and the script is good. I asked Braden, I said, Braden, your opinion on this script, from 1 to 10, 10 being like a great Rocky series, being a great movie. What is your opinion? He goes, oh, by all means, it's a 10. And he goes, that's why we're putting everything that we need into it. The dollars, the talent, the producers, the everybody, the actors, they're great that they've given me and I can tell you, some of them, we haven't made a choice yet, but I can tell you some of them that we're choosing from.
Nice. Well, if you need a couple extras, I'm available.
That sounds good.
Hey, so is there going to be? Is there a touch of faith based in the movie at all, or is it?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Anything that I do in life, I bring Christ into it. And thank you for bringing me into this. This country was built in God we trust. And one of the things that we're getting away from is trusting in God. So I'm promoting big time. Start trusting in God. Put your trust in God. This is what made this country so great, and don't take God out of it. And so, yes, the movie has a lot about my faith. I get tickled. I don't like cursing. I can't stand it. And one of the things in the movie, they curse, but it's got me telling people, hey, you need to shut your mouth. You need to be quiet. Don't curse around me. And it's got me saying that, and that's me.
Now, is there a release date yet or not yet?
No, sir. We're talking about going into production. If everything, these are the exact words from from Balboa. If everything went perfect, June, July, we could be into production, but it's probably going to be August, is what he said. I'm predicting June or July because I'm going to speak. Everything's going to go perfect. Nice.
So we went. You had this tremendous amateur career. The team you turned pro, and then when did you decide, okay, I want to start managing and I want to start getting a stable of fighters?
It just kind of happened. One day, Tim Hallmark, y'all know who Tim is, one of the greatest strength and conditioning sports performance coaches that there is. And one day he came down to my gym, and he called Evander and said, Evander, this is it. This is the gym. This is where your son's got to be, Evan. And next thing you know, Evander's calling me and wanting to talk to me about managing his son. And one thing led to another, and I won't go into details, but things went south, and we wish him the best. And it did go south, but then it just like people were approaching me about promoting. And then Jeff says, Termite, we need to do it. And so Jeff played a part in that, along with many other people. We had fighters coming out of the woodwork saying, can you help me? And really, that's where me and Jeff are so much alike. We love helping people. And I'm so thankful and praise God that I have a partner like Jeff Barnett. And I think that we're going to be able to make some changes in people's lives. And saying it just very straight, we're going to win souls and make disciples for Christ. And we're going to do it through the sport of boxing.
What was one of the biggest takeaways? What was the biggest lesson? Evan being your first fighter, the situation going the way that it did. When it was said and done, and you're left standing, looking yourself in the mirror, what are you telling yourself as far as, okay, this is what I learned from this, and this is what we're doing differently or not doing differently? What was the takeaway?
Hey, can I jump in here? I want to say something about this because I'm a little more free to talk about it. One of the things that we're doing is that, and I think this is happening across the industry, is there's some recognition of what a pandemic clause is, and drafting contracts to include pandemic clauses, or drafting contracts in such a way that if you can't fight somebody 6 times a year, you don't have their contract unravel. There's been a lot of contracts that unraveled because of COVID. And depending on where you're at in a contract, that can be kind of a neutral event. But if you're on the ending the first third of a contract and they unravel because you are limited by a pandemic on what you can do for someone, that just clobbers the deal. I mean, because there's so much front end cost on these things. So mainly that's the one thing we learned through that, is just to be careful about how you word your contracts. Make your contracts so that they can be win-win regardless of what the situation is.
The wording on a contract is crucial, is critical and crucial for sure. You got to have the right clause in there for both parties and the protection of both parties. Now, You know, you touched on what your mission is, and that was a question that I was going to lead to, but you already answered as far as, you know, what do you want the industry, the fighters, the promoters, your co peers in the industry, what's going to set you apart, and what is your mission? And you said that you were going to lead souls to Christ and make disciples. What else can they expect from this dynamic duo?
Go ahead, Jeff.
We are going to pay professional boxers. One of the chief problems in this business is that people are professional boxers. They will train all the way through to a fight. They reach the doorway to walk in, and they're told, here's your check for $1. Here's your check for $1. And then they're told, you get to fight for free for 10 fights so that you can have a record that then you may be able to go. And then we wonder why you can't get competitive fights, because you're not paying the boxers. If you pay boxers, you're going to have boxers that are willing to have competitive fights. If you can make competitive fights, you're going to put on shows that are good to watch. If you put on shows that are good to watch, you're going to have people show up. If people show up, you're going to be able to pay professional boxers. Imagine that. You know, and that's just something that I have not seen a whole lot of. And I haven't been in this long, and I'm probably going to learn by losing a lot of money, but that's kind of what I brought. That's what I'm going into it. It's like, if I have to lose money to put on an excellent show that's competitive fights, I'm going to pay these boxers so that we can get competitive fights.
And so
we want to do what's best for the fighter.
So what does that look like when you're sitting in the office and you guys are talking about this and you have your whiteboard up? How do we make this happen? How are we paying these fighters?
Jeff,
we use money.
Get that, or you want me to get it?
So what we do is we use money. And okay, so basically I'm treating this like any other business. I've never started a business that I started off making money. Generally what happens when I start a business, I've done like 30 of these things.
Sure.
I start off losing money. Generally I'll start off paying to work. At the front end, I normally work harder than I do later in the business. I build a system and I funnel money in until I can turn a profit. I generally expect on a business to turn a profit in 2 to 3 years. My model and the way I build businesses, I'm successful in about 1 out of 3 of them. And that's better than the 1 out of 5 that most people are. And what I call success is a little different than what they call. 5 years out, I expect to make money, like real money, but I don't expect to break even for a couple, 3 years. Most people fail in business because they go in thinking, I'm going to be making money in 3 months or 6 months. And they're still like running negatives. So mainly that's it. You know, if you're willing to lose money on the front end, you can put on a good show. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do what we have to put on a good show. We're going to use excellence as a standard for everything that we do.
Now, talking about your first show, it's coming up. Termite, why don't you tell us a little about this show, what to expect, the dates, where we can find tickets, and what the fans can expect.
It's going to be next Thursday, the 13th, January the 13th, at the Pasadena Convention Center. It will start off at 6 o'clock, and we plan on starting on time. We want to start on time and end on time. We're bringing a bunch of everyday people together, business people together. It's family friendly. We're not serving alcohol. A lot of people want to, come to boxing match, but there's alcohol, the half dress, showgirls, stuff like that. We're not going to have that. We're going to make this family friendly. We're not going to have alcohol. And is there going to be a lot of business there? Yeah, we got a lot of people in the industrial business, the gas and oil. And so if you're in the gas and oil and industrial business, you need to be there. It's going to be a great place. We're going to have a lot. I can't tell you, who all is going to be there, but there's going to be a lot of refineries and companies and chemical plants, things like that. But there's also going to be everyday people. And go ask me that question one more time on it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. What can the fans expect from this show?
Okay, and what they can expect from this show is a lot of fun. It's going to be a night of fun. Okay? That's what boxing is supposed to be, is fun. But it is a business, but it's supposed to be a lot of fun. Now, we're going to have a lot of 4-rounders. And I want to tell everybody in advance why that is. We're going to have a lot of 4-rounders so that the public can see some of these guys making their debuts. Some of them are not. Some of them are still 4-rounders. At this point, we've only got one 6-rounder. We may have another one, but one 6-rounder, and that's Jonathan Morales. And what we can expect is people can get behind these young people as they start off and watch their career grow. They can see them have that first fight, that second fight. All of a sudden, a few fights later, they can see them go to a 6-round fight. Then all of a sudden, they get to watch them fight an 8-round fight. Then all of a sudden, one day, they get to watch a 10-round fight. And then ultimately, one day, Jeff and I want to bring title fights here. And now all of a sudden, they can see that 12-round. So they've been on a journey along this journey together with us of watching these young boxers make their way up the ranks.
You know, Coach Derek and I, we're partners. We're partners on the Soapboxing podcast. We're partners at the gym. We're partners in our management company. And one of the reasons that brought us together was because we wanted transparency. We wanted to. The reason we started the podcast was because we wanted to give a platform for local fighters who normally wouldn't have a voice. We wanted to give them a platform where they can come and talk to their fans, to build their fan base, and to get some exposure. We've been doing it for 3 years now, and we love what we do. We've made some great relationships. And I'm saying that to say this. We love that kind of energy. We love that kind of mentality. It seems that your business model is in line with that type of thinking. But let's be realistic, and I'm going to ask, a serious question, because it's a question that we ask ourselves as well. Boxing is an ugly sport. Boxing is from the conception of boxing, there's always been corruption. There's been a lot of there's a dark side to boxing. It's a violent sport. There's a lot of people in the industry that don't share our common cause, our common philosophy. Is it something that you think about, and what is your attitude as far as breaking through that and, for a lack of a better term, changing the industry?
Well, everything you said is true. Boxing can be ugly, but there's a flip side of that. Boxing can be beautiful. Me and Jeff can introduce you to young men that come out of Fighter Nation that are headed in the right, that have come to know Christ, that have gotten good jobs, that we've helped move forward. And I don't want to pinpoint anybody, because then we would be trying to take the honor, and we want to give that honor and glory to the Lord. But we've helped people get their lives together. I can't tell you how many people have come through Fighter Nation that are not fighting now, but they've got good jobs. Or that have, I've got a young man that come through Fighter Nation, and now I've married him. He's got 3 kids. So we're doing a good thing. Is there a dark side? Yes. Is there a beautiful side? Man, the art of boxing is beautiful. The art of hitting and not getting hit, that's beautiful. And when we can produce this in young kids today and give them an opportunity to shine, you know what? We're doing something that other people aren't doing. We're not here to knock other people, but yeah, there's a lot of corruption in it. And if you're one of those people, say. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, we got it.
You got excited and you muted yourself.
We can hear you fine.
When Termite gets passionate, he'll start touching his phone. No, you're doing fine. You do seem to be glitching a little bit. I'll speak to the business side of it, and this is and Termite will probably jump back on with us.
Yeah.
From the business side point of it, let me give you something. I don't know that this is normal. You can actually help me, because I'm new to this. But we had a fighter that fell off of a card. He's part of our main event. And the norm there is to scurry around and get anyone you can get. And we had the option to do that. But we also had the option to bring in a 24-10 fighter from Argentina. Now, the purse for that guy was 4 times what we were going to pay to get somebody who would just jump on the card and kind of be there's a lot of language for that, but I think most of it's pretty derogatory. I think anybody that steps in the ring is willing to fight they deserve a level of respect.
Absolutely.
So the purse was 4 times as much, and then there was a last minute flight from Argentina. I don't know that a lot of people would put that together. I went ahead and backed that to pull that together. And yesterday, I've got 4 other businesses I could be involved in that are all very profitable, but I have them running with managers. So yesterday I did 120 back and forth text on WhatsApp to a manager down in Argentina, put that deal together, and we're bringing that guy in. He's flying in on the red eye tomorrow night, and he'll be here Monday morning. Now, what do I get for that? What do I get for that? The main boxer's being sponsored by my coffee shop. He's been running around in a Pearland Coffee Roasters t-shirt. The guy I'm going to pay all this money to come fight him is now going to wear a Starbucks t-shirt. So he goes and trolls my guy, and now he's talking smack about he's going to wear a Starbucks t-shirt. So I'm going to be advertising my chief competitor. I love boxing,
Welcome,
it's like
welcome to the world of boxing.
Everybody's got to be a troll,
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, if you can, if your fighter can knock him out, it'll be a knockout for the brands as well.
And that is something that I'm hoping for. Our main event, Jonathan Morales, is 10-0, and he's a fantastic guy. I mean, he's a constable. He's a great guy. I've seen him in the gym. He is training hard. I'm pulling for him. I'll be honest with you. I did not want to put this competitive of a fight together for him. He's coming off of a long layoff. He took
what
COVID
weight
off.
Is he at?
That's another thing. He's 154 and he's fighting at 160 to make the deal happen. He's allowing the other guy to come up. So he's going to be running a little over his walking around weight. He's used to cutting to fight. He's not going to cut this time. Instead, he's going around this week going, well, at least I get to eat,
And what's his record?
Morales is 10-0.
Okay.
Vanelli, the guy we're bringing in, is 24-10.
So 10-0 versus
24-10. And the guy that we're bringing in is he's just not he's a solid guy. He's a solid boxer. So it should be a good fight. Yeah,
Pasadena, January 13th at the Pasadena Convention Center at 6 p.m. Now, how many fights a year are you planning to put on?
We're thinking we're going to start off doing about 18.
18 fights a year.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
No. We're gonna get past this first one. Now, the way Termite works, this is what's going to happen. If we have that place jam packed, he's going to walk out, and I'm going to have to grab
it again,
and pull him off. Yeah, it'll be like we'll be back in a month, and I'll be like, I'm not doing this again in a month. We're going to try to start off with 4 to 6 and fights a year, and then see where we go from there. If we can, mainly what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out the marketing side of this. What do I have to spend on the marketing to pack a place out? And I'm doing this right in the middle of a massive COVID surge. And it's so the first one, it's almost like if we even come close to half full, I'm going to call that a massive success. Currently, our ticket sales look like we're going to have a crowd. I mean, we've already kind of sold all the good seats are gone. So not the good seats, the fantastic, all the ringside, we sold that. And basically, Termite alluded to this, but what's funny about it is we have this guy from industry buy this ringside table. Oh, that guy's coming? So this other guy from industry buys this ringside table. Yeah. But that guy's coming. Now this guy from industry buys this ringside table. And finally, what we have is, we're going to make pennies compared to the deals that are going to go down in this. That said, we've already told all these guys, don't expect a lot of time between fights. We're going to be going fight to fight to fight. We're not going to be dragging this thing out. We're going to try to keep this moving, and we're going to try to keep it as action-packed as we can.
Have you how is your relationship with the other promoters and managers within the community here in Houston? You know, we have Next Fight Up, we have Tiggity Promotions. Have you had an opportunity to chat with them? Have you met them? Have you picked their brains at all?
Basically, I am a customer of Next Fight Up because I've been going to their shows for a long time. But by the way, I'm not in this to fight with anybody. I'm not trying to, this isn't about owning anything. I honestly want to kind of see if we can do something on the southeast side of Houston, re-energize a boxing base in this area that's been underserved. In the west side, the shows, the downtown shows, the Humble shows, I think we're going to all share some of the same people, but by and large, we're really trying to develop that local area.
Now, for the last couple of years, and I've been saying this, and I've been very adamant about it. I feel like Houston has become the new Mecca of boxing. People from all over the country come here to train. We have Maine Boxing Gym. We have world champions training out of Houston. And one of the things that I love about Houston and is our community. It's not as competitive as you might think it is. In other words, we all work together. We all have a common goal. A couple of weeks ago, Next Fight Up and El Tiggity, for the first time that I've ever heard of, came together to put on a show. And quite honestly, it was probably one of the best shows that I've ever been to. Joe and Forrest from Next Fight Up and Alfonso from El Tiggity and his team over there put on a fantastic show. The energy was great. The fights were great. And that's something that I feel like everyone's pretty open to. And so, I would welcome that. I would, my advice or my 2 cents would be, get to know them, work with them if you can, if the opportunity ever presents itself or whatever. There's just, one of the things that I learned very early on, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have several businesses. And one of the things that I've learned early on was, and I had one of my mentors tell me was this, especially in Houston, there's no real competition. In other words, if you do what you do right and you focus on what makes you great, you'll get your piece of the pie. There's enough to go around for everyone. And so I'm excited for y'all. What is the name of your of the production company or the promotion company?
It's Boxing with Termite.
Oh, that's what it is? Okay.
And probably some of the mentors that I've talked to that I've gotten the most from is Kathy Duva with Main Events out of New Jersey, Christy Martin out of Austin. Those have been my primary mentors. And I hate to say it, it's 2 women, but those are who I'm modeling after. So
nothing wrong with that.
Hey, Christy Martin starts her shows on time, and she runs one bout after another, and there's not a lot of lag time. And she does a good job. She puts on a good show. And Kathy is about the most non-assuming person. I mean, it's amazing the people that she represents and the way she carries herself. Actually, Kathy was the one who made me think, I absolutely don't need this. And, why not me? Why not me get involved with Termite and do something? I wouldn't do this on my own. I promise you that. And I could see on my phone, I'm getting a call from Argentina. So that's my guy who's trying to figure out. They're probably at the airport.
Well, we lost Termite. He probably gave up on trying to get back in.
When he fell off, all your viewership left. So it's just me and you talking now.
We had millions of viewers, and Termite fell off, and it went. Well, listen. What's your message that you want to leave before we get off today? What's the message that you want to leave for the fans and the community when it comes to boxing with Termite and promotions?
If the fans want to see another promotion company in town, we need your support. If you're comfortable with what you're getting and that's all you want, then that's fine. And I'll see you at the Next Fight Up, and I'll see you wherever else we run around town. I'll be honest, we have boxers coming to us left and right. We're going to sign some boxers. We're going to be representing boxers. Whether or not we do shows in addition to that, that's going to depend on the fans. So you're going to see us around managing boxers.
Now, why don't we take a moment as well, and why don't you plug your companies that you have here? What you said, Pearland, or where was it? I'm sorry.
You want me to tell you? Because everybody left when Termite jumped off.
Well, yeah, man. My coffee's running low. I might go get some coffee in a little bit.
So Pearland Coffee Roasters, I bought that back in 15. It started in 10. That's one business. Texas Flange is where I make most of my money. I've been involved in that since 96. We sell pipeline fittings. We sell flanges.
Oh, okay.
It's a way to connect pipe together. If you're going to take it back apart, you don't want to weld it together. You put flanges on both sides and stick it together. A lot of people in the oil field understand it. There's that, a couple real estate companies, the deal I'm doing with boxing with Termite. There's a marketing company, maybe two. I forget what they're called though. I misplaced one. I put a marketing company around here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. So
perfect. Well, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming on. Welcome to the boxing world. We look forward to being at your show in Pasadena, January 13th. 6 p.m. The fights are starting off on time. How many fights are we going to have? How many bouts?
Well, that's changing every day. So I had no idea. The state of Texas, okay. I'm telling you something about the state of Texas. They are getting better. They're getting better. They are regulating these things to where you're going to have better fights. And I'm definitely for that. So right now we have seven confirmed, and we're working on a couple more, and we may have one of those 7 that's fallen off, but we're going to end up with about 8 shows. And I can promise you this, they're going to get more and more exciting as the night goes on. So we're going to stack them up that way.
Perfect. And people can buy the tickets where? At the gate, or?
The easiest way to get tickets right now is go to boxingwithtermite.com. And there's a link there for tickets.
Well, Jeff, it was a pleasure having you on. We learned so much. We look forward to all your success and watching you grow and on your journey. And that's a wrap from us here at Soapboxing Podcast. We'll hopefully we can get you guys back on after this first show. You guys get to chat with Derek as well. We'll see how everything went, what you learned, what were some of the highlights, and talk about your next moves.
All right. Thanks, Manny.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon. All right, everyone. It was a pleasure having y'all. Tune in again in another episode of Soapboxing Podcast. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll have another fantastic guest. Derek will return. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Peace.